now.
Okay, so we're going to go ahead and jump into the person-centered planning team profile overview. So this basically comes after you've done your initial intake with that person. So during the first part of that person-centered planning, which you'll see would be the employment interest. This is the time for you to cover everything that you did not get a chance to talk about during your intake meeting. So this is the time to find out like what types of jobs are they interested in. We typically try to get them to just give us at least three types, not places, but at least types of jobs that they're willing to do. What type of jobs do they just absolutely do not want to do? Are they looking for full-time work or part-time? The days of week that they're available to work, are they able to work nights and weekends? Is there a specific area or part of town that they would like to work in? Because sometimes, due to transportation issues, a lot of them will give you just like a specific part of town that they would like to just concentrate on. Um, and then in the second part, which you'll come to, you will actually see this is for the employment supports, resources, and networking. This is when you list everybody that they may have connections for employment with, whether it's through family, friends, church groups, social groups, and then you just list who will be providing what service. In the third part is where you list potential employers and contacts. On this part right here is where I would also ask for three references so that when you are doing applications, they'll already have that information. Even if they have a resume available, that would be also helpful for that. And list all of the contact information as well for all of these people. So sometimes you may not be able to get in contact with that individual when you're filling out applications, and you may just need someone else there that you can get that information from. So part four is when you step into the prerequisite needs, and this one can get a little lengthy sometimes. Because this is the time when you cover stuff like, do they have reliable transportation? If not, are they able to use public transportation? Or do they have a family member or friend or someone that's actually willing to help out with transportation until they're able to establish that information? Are they able to pass a drug test? Because believe me, you definitely don't want any surprises on that end. We've experienced that a few times. So you want to cover as much information up front. That way you can find out the best way to help that individual going forward with employment. Have they ever been convicted of a felony? Um, are they currently taking any medications? If yes, list those medications, the side effects that they may have, so that you'll know what to look for when you're out there working with them. Are there any behaviors that you need to be aware of? If there are, then you want to make sure that if they live in a group home, for instance, if they have a behavior support plan in place. If not, then you might want to talk to the family members. Well, if this arises, what do you usually do to at least help with that situation, to help calm them down and get them back where they need to be? Um, Also, you want to find out like, where did they go to high school in the highest grade completed? That way, like when you're filling out the applications and stuff like that, you'll already have that. Did they receive a certificate or a diploma? Do they receive Social Security? And if yes, would they like to speak to a benefits counselor? Because you'll have a lot of them that will be very concerned about their Social Security, about how many hours they can work or whatever. So you definitely want to get all of that information on the front end. And the last part of that, which when you get into the work and volunteer experience, this is a time where you list everything that they've done, any jobs that they've done in the past. If not, if they don't have that work history, then you list all of their volunteer stuff. definitely ask them, have they ever been asked to resign or quit from a job? Because a lot of people sometimes will not tell you that information. So when you're going out and you're talking to employers about this individual, you'll know what to say and try to help that situation when you're advocating for them. Have they ever participated in any vocational training and while they were in school? So those are the things that you would definitely want to cover. And also, it's very important that on that page you list all of the individuals that they want to participate in that meeting. And that way everybody is on the same page. You won't have any issues. And it's always good to get that extra feedback from the entire team so that everybody is on the same page. And that is the PCP in a nutshell.
And I'll add a couple of things to that also. Um, the, for us, the PCP or person-centered profile is typically at least 2 meetings. We'll have that initial team meeting, and then during that meeting, we start looking at, once we start talking about what types of jobs, then we'll start setting up those assessments, which we're going to talk about in just a second. And then once we've completed the assessments, we come back together for at least a second team meeting, PCP meeting, to discuss the assessments. And then also if there were any prerequisite requirements that needed to be met, like maybe they don't have a picture ID or social security card, those type things, the individuals had time to work on that before we have that second meeting. And then during that second meeting is also whenever we start looking at, as a team and as the individual ready for us to move forward with job development. And so, you may discover some things during the assessment or during that second meeting that the individual, there's still some things that need to be worked on or taken care of, or before you move forward with that job development phase of it. So there's no limit to how many team meetings you can have, but typically it's at least those 2 meetings, the initial meeting for the person-centered profile, then we do assessments, and then have at least a second meeting to discuss the assessments and where we're at, if we're ready to move forward with the job development phase of it. And then also, just one more note, the PCP meeting is totally separate from your program's initial intake. For us, the intake is we're doing our handbook, consent forms, just introducing who we are, what we're going to be doing as a program, why the counselor has referred them to us. And then we schedule that PCP meeting. We also start looking at who they would like to have on their team in that PCP meeting. And the team may grow by the time you have your second meeting. The more time that you spend with individual, you may realize that maybe there's somebody else that would be a great asset to the team. And again, all this is consumer driven. They can, if they don't, we've had situations where they live with mom and dad, but they don't want dad or they don't want mom on their team or in the meeting. They want to be able to talk to us without mom and dad present, or one or the other. And that's all. I mean, that's not an easy thing to accomplish, because the parents typically are providing those supports of transportation and that type thing. But you want to make sure that the consumer is driving the team and driving the meeting, for sure.